All right. So, luckily no one's watching yet, so I can just start this however I want. I was watching a Gary Vee video this morning, and he basically threw out a challenge. And his challenge was to get on some sort of social media and share your biggest fear. And I've been thinking about that all day, because honestly my biggest fear was very apparent. I mean, I didn't have to think about that at all, but I kept thinking all day that I didn't want to share it. I didn't want to do this, but for some reason I couldn't get Gary Vee out of my head. So here I am on Facebook Live. Whether anybody sees this or not really, I guess, isn't important at this point. I just thought I'd get on here and share it. So taking the Gary Vee challenge, my biggest fear in life, honestly, is being alone. And first off, for anyone that tunes into this later and watching it, why am I doing this? Well, first off, as far as career goes, I actually am very happy with my job. I work as a business coach, have a great profession, but I found through this that I really like helping people. And so when I heard this challenge this morning, I thought, maybe I can get on here and share this, and maybe someone along the line will see this, and it'll be a good message. So anybody seeing this at any point, if you like it, give me some love and like it. If you know somebody else that might, benefit from it, please share it. I will probably going to start posting like once a week on Mondays, just a little motivational message. I work as a sales trainer, so I'm always looking for good information, liking to pass it along. And I've found that a lot of times, there's not a lot of new information out there. It's just how it's delivered and whether it resonates with you or not. So anyway, back to the challenge, the reason I'm doing this today. So Gary Vee threw out there to share your biggest fear on social media, and it will change your life, and do it live. So here I am, live. I've got a few people watching. What's up? So my biggest fear in life actually was being alone, honestly. And it started for me at a really young age. My biological father left when I was 2, came back, and just him and my mom couldn't work things out, so he left again when I was 5. And so, through, I guess, that feeling of abandonment throughout my life, I think I've always had a fear of being alone. And, through middle school and high school, I always had lots of friends, but I think that childhood memory of that, always just stuck with me. So anyway, fast forward to a couple of years ago, and I went through a divorce. Originally it was a mutual decision. In the end, it ended up getting blamed on me. I was falsely accused of having an affair, and what was once a mutual decision was now all my fault. And through that process, I literally had my whole social world blown up. Like friends and family that I'd cared and loved and been with for 20 years of my life all cut me off. Not only did they cut me off, they were spitting on me. So my biggest fear actually came to fruition, where all of a sudden, overnight, 2016 was probably the loneliest year of my life. I found myself all alone. Luckily I had a good friend, Chris Roth. I moved in with him and, had a small support group there, but really faced a lot of loneliness. My biggest fear, being alone, and here I was faced with it every single day, every single night. I have 4 beautiful, amazing children. They were turned on me. My twin daughters literally wouldn't speak to me for most of 2016. I worked my ass off to get a relationship back with them. But again, facing your fear. I mean, here I am, 43 years old, and my biggest fear of being alone is right in front of me. I don't have a lot of support at that time. Financially, I'd always been pretty abundant, but through the divorce, I gave up a lot of cash, and I was trying to make ssure my kid's mom and them were comfortable. So I found myself a little bit strapped and a little bit alone. Interesting thing, and I guess this will be the point of sharing this, is what did I find when I was facing that aloneness? Really facing my biggest fear, my biggest secret, and all of a sudden I have no choice. I got to deal with it. What am I going to do? And I was searching online, looking for different things, and it's join meetups, do this, do that. And I was like, I don't want to do any of that. I didn't even have the energy to do any of that. So I just took it one day at a time. Worked on myself, worked on my physical fitness, worked on my mental strength, worked on my emotional, worked on my spirituality. And through it all, I found a lot of strength. Honestly, I was able to really become a stronger person. And it's funny, and I don't know, as I go out there in the world, I mean, I travel a lot for my work, I meet a lot of people, take a lot of Ubers, meet a lot of Uber drivers. I think my fear of being alone, I don't think I'm alone in that. You know, there's a lot of lonely people out there. And I guess one thing is, if you're watching this, if you've got somebody in your life that you think might be going through a challenge, reach out to them. You know, they might just need a little bit of love and support, and maybe just somebody to talk to. And I'm kind of rambling. And those of you that have just got on, you may be like, what the hell is Sean doing? I watched a Gary Vee video this morning. This is Gary Vee's fault. Talked about sharing your biggest fear on social media, and it would change your life. So that's what I'm doing right now. So anyway, through all this aloneness and through the struggles I was going through and the changes, the biggest lesson I learned, honestly, and it was, for me, it's a lesson of contrast. I don't know any of you that see me tag stuff once in a while. I put the hashtag enjoy the ride. But I was listening to some videos online and watching some stuff, and I heard this thing about contrast. And for me, I had people around me and I didn't, and I was faced with this aloneness, and it gave me this huge contrast. And I started studying contrast and looking into it. And, you know, when we're faced with a negative situation, we have two choices. We can either fight against it, we can push, or we can let go and just try and enjoy it. Now, what does that look like? Now, a really gruesome example of that, and one of the first examples I heard was you're falling out of an airplane without a parachute. Okay? What are you going to do? You're going to die. Like, you're falling out of an airplane, you're going to die. So you have really two choices. You can fight and flail, and the last few moments on Earth are a miserable, horrible experience, or you can just let go and enjoy the ride. Now, that's probably impossible for most of us to do because we would be scared to death, but that's an extreme example of it. But for me, as I've gone through these challenges, these little things, the last couple of years, it's just been like, you know what, try and embrace the moment. And I've had some things that, you know, really tested me on this. You know, a year ago, I found myself feeding my 63-year-old mother. You know, her Alzheimer's disease had deteriorated her brain to the point she couldn't even feed herself. And I remember sitting there and I'm like thinking in my head, you know, here you are talking about enjoy the ride. You're working with your clients talking about this. You're not enjoying this moment. Like, this sucks right now. Like, I'm watching, you know, my mom go through this horrible experience and she's dying. And I forced myself at the time to just step back and say, you know what? One, I'm so grateful for this moment. Like, I get to be here with her. Like, yeah, she's miserable. Yeah, she's dying, but I get to be here with her. I'm gonna enjoy that part of this horrible moment. I also took, you know, I felt good about the fact that I knew her suffering would soon be over. And luckily for us, she passed pretty rapidly in a really short amount of time. And I almost felt guilty as I went through the whole funeral and everything, that I felt so at peace. But I was really just trying to step back and say, you know, her suffering's done. You know, she's done with this. So anyway, enjoy the ride. That's kind of what this video is about. And some of you, I'll repeat it again. What's up, everybody? I've got a few people. If you see this and you like it, please share it. I'm doing this as part of a challenge just to get on and share my biggest fear, which I just shared earlier. It was fear of being alone. And I've had to face that more than ever the last 2 years. And through it, I found strength. I found power. I found who I really am. And it's been an amazing experience. So if you like what I've talked about at all, please just share it, like it. Do what you can to help me out with this. I'm going to start, you know, one of my second biggest fear is making an ass out of myself on social media and sharing information that isn't valuable. But I'm here doing it just to see what happens. So I'm going to start every Monday morning just doing a little motivational message. Those of you that don't know, I actually work as a sales trainer and a business coach. I love what I do. As part of it, I'm always looking for good information, sharing good information, and I just want to make it part of what I do from now on. So I'm going to start on Monday mornings just putting out a little message there. But for now, I just want to say everybody have a great weekend. If you know somebody who you think might be feeling alone, reach out and say hi to them. You know, there's a lot of us out there struggling with different issues, could use a little bit of love and support. And all it takes is a phone call. You know, a simple act of a phone call can change somebody's day, change somebody's life. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Peace out, everybody, and enjoy the ride.